This Reddit story comes from the subreddit TIFU and is titled TIFU by accidentally creeping out a woman on the bus. It was just after a particularly awful day at work and I was taking the bus home. It was the last bus of the night around midnight. Now, I'm what you call a big fella. I am a big, tall, lumbering man. At the time, I had very long hair as well. I'm also far from fashionable. I'm a comfort first dresser, and it's very cold where I live, so I am layered up. I got a hood on, gloves, scarf, miscellaneous sweaters and jackets in varying states of distress because I can't bring myself to throw anything away. Basically, what I'm saying is I look like a hobo Michael Myers from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Combine that with how tired I was from work, I look dead on the inside too. Like totally vacant. My brain is mush at this point, and I am all for intents and purposes a zombie. I have a favorite spot on the bus because I'm weird like that. So if that spot is open, I will sit there. Tonight, it was open, so I sat down. I did not take in my surroundings because I was far too tired and out of it. I just needed to sit down as soon as possible. I happened to be sitting directly behind a young woman, but I didn't think too much of it at first. I was using all of my energy to simply not pass out. But about 2 minutes later, my brain clicked on and my heart sank. I realized that this woman I was sitting behind was the only other person on the bus. Instantly, I knew I messed up. The whole bus is empty, and I, this giant hobo of a man, hobbled on and sit right behind this young woman who's all alone in the middle of the night. What must she be thinking? She must think I'm an effing creep. So I thought, oh no, what do I do? Do I move to another seat? No, that seems even more suspicious. That calls attention to it. Plus, I had already been sitting here for 2 full minutes. It's too weird to switch now. I at least shifted to the adjacent seat, so I'm somewhat diagonally behind her instead of right behind her. But that's not enough. Do I say something? Do I be like, sorry I sat behind you, I'm not a creep, I promise? That's such a red flag too. I was trying so hard to find a correct sequence of words or actions that would effectively reassure this poor woman and make her feel safe, but I could not crack the code. I know how sketchy I look. There was no recourse. I eventually figured it would be okay. It's probably not that big of a deal. I'm just a worrier. As long as nothing else happens, I probably just mildly sketch her out and it's fine. Then I realized that while all this was swirling around my head like a vortex, I've been staring wide-eyed directly at the back of her head for like a full minute. I was entirely in my head and I didn't even know it was happening. As soon as I came to that realization, I also saw her glancing at me. She was watching me staring at her, but trying not to be obvious. I was mortified. I immediately averted my gaze. I turned my head so fast to look at anything else, but that's also a red flag. It was like I was caught, which I was, but it wasn't intentional. Too many things were in my brain. I wasn't paying attention to what my eyes were doing. I'm neurodivergent, if that wasn't clear by now. Another minute passed, and I was too petrified to do anything at this point. There was no good idea for how to fix this. I just felt so bad. Then I saw her turn to glance back at me again, and like an idiot, I looked back at her. Because when someone looks at you, you look at them. It's instinct. Because you're expecting an interaction or something. So you meet their gaze. But in this scenario, that's the opposite of what I should be doing. Plus, she had to turn her head to glance at me. I only had to shift my eyes. My eyes obviously moved faster, so I was looking at her before she could see me. So from her perspective, she looked back and saw me staring at her again. And I could tell she was very nervous. She was on edge. I wanted more than anything to be able to make this right, but I had dug a hole in every potential path of action I could only see, making me look more of a creep. I was just praying we did not get off at the same stop. If I saw that she was getting off at my stop, I decided I would just not get off. I'll stay and get off somewhere else and figure it out. I could not have this woman think I was following her in addition to everything else. Fortunately, she got off a few minutes later at a different stop to mine. She kind of hurried off. I saw her look back as she was leaving, presumably to make sure I wasn't following. That broke my heart. I definitely made this poor woman think she was about to get murdered, and I'm so sorry. TLDR, I absentmindedly sat behind a young woman on an otherwise empty bus and then made it worse. Let's get into the comment sections. First comment says, next time, please feel free to say something. I had a similar situation a while back around 2 a.m. in an MTA. The only difference was a man sat across from me in an empty train and was staring at the map behind me for a while. He met my eyes a few times while I thought he was staring daggers at me. He was squinting and constantly huffing. And the third time he took off his headphones, told me that he wasn't sure if I was really scared, but that he was trying to see the map and frustrated that the trains aren't running on the same track. We laughed a lot and I felt pretty safe going home. Another commenter says, sorry for sitting right behind you. This is my favorite seat. Nervous laugh. Moving also may have been fine, particular to a seat with an obstructed view. Also just walking ahead if they get off at the same stop. Another commenter says, sorry, I didn't mean to sit behind you. My mind was somewhere else. Solved it. Then you can go and sit somewhere with your back to her where she can see you, but no, you can't see her. If you can't sit facing away from her, look bored or distracted. Sit on your phone or fiddle with your jewelry or something to that effect. I agree with these commenters. Just, being honest and say, hey, this is my favorite seat, or, I mean no harm. But at the same time, from the young woman's perspective, it might be also creepy. Be like, why is a strange big dude trying to talk to me about this in the middle of the night? So I kind of get both the OP's point of view and the commenter's point of view. I also take public transportation to commute to work. I also have a favorite seat on public transportation too. So I get OP wanting to sit in his so-called favorite seat or prefer seat. And I never want to make anyone feel uncomfortable too. But then again, I'm also a woman, so I don't know if I come off that way either. So it might be slightly different because of my gender. Now, if I was in the young woman's position, would I feel creeped out if a guy sat in directly right behind me in the middle of the night or move his seat? I guess it really just depends on the situation. I think I would probably feel like a little creeped out because that is a little weird that it's an empty bus and you decide to sit right behind me. So yeah, I think I would probably be creeped out. But if the guy just gets up and moves away to somewhere else, I would probably feel more comfort than actually having the guy and say, hey, I'm not a creep. This is my favorite seat. I think that would creep me out even more than just having that person just move away instead. Have you guys ever encountered something like the OP where you're on an empty bus and, you might have creeped someone out? Or have you ever been in the place of the young woman where you feel like you're creeped out because someone sits so close to you and it just feels like they're invading your personal space? And what would you have done if you were in OP's position? I would love to hear about those in the comment section. And if you like these types of stories, remember to continue to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.